A very important European leader was flying on a plane. The plane was flying over Bulgaria. Suddenly, its main navigation system, called GPS, stopped working. The pilots could not use GPS to see their exact location. This was a big problem, especially for landing the plane safely. The pilots quickly used older methods. They had to look at old paper maps. They also used other systems that do not need satellites. It took more time, and it was difficult, but the pilots landed the plane safely. This event was very serious and worrying. This incident is the start of our story. It shows a new and dangerous problem in the skies over Europe. Many people believe that Russia is causing these problems on purpose. Russia might be using special machines to block GPS signals. This is called GPS jamming. It is like a loud noise stopping you from hearing an important conversation. These attacks are a new kind of threat for planes and for safety in Europe. It is a problem that is getting bigger. 2. What is GPS jamming? GPS helps us find our way. It uses satellites in space that send signals to receivers on Earth, like in planes. This system tells pilots their exact location, helps them plan routes, and guides them for safe landings. GPS is key for flying today. GPS jamming happens when powerful radio signals block these satellite signals. Think of it like a very loud noise stopping you from hearing a friend talk. A GPS receiver cannot hear the real signals, so it stops working. Pilots know when jamming occurs, but it still causes problems. A more serious issue is GPS spoofing. This doesn't just block signals, it sends false ones. The GPS receiver then believes it is in a different location than it actually is. This can trick pilots into flying off course without realizing it. Spoofing is more dangerous because the false information can seem real. Planes have backup navigation systems. These include radio beacons and internal sensors that work without satellites. So aircraft can still fly if GPS is lost. However, losing GPS makes a pilot's job much harder. GPS is very important for landing, especially in bad weather. Pilots use it for precise approaches to airports. If GPS fails, they must use older, less accurate methods. This can lead to delays, flights changing direction, or even an airport being closed because it cannot safely land planes without GPS. Keeping GPS secure is essential for safe air travel. 3. The problem is getting bigger. The problem with GPS signals in Europe is growing. Since the year 2022, when Russia started its big actions in Ukraine, there have been many more problems. This is true for both normal planes and government planes. The number of times GPS signals have been blocked or changed has gone up very fast. Look at the numbers to see how big this problem is. In January 2025, Poland had 2,732 cases of electronic interference. This was a lot more than the 1,908 cases in October 2023. Lithuania, which is next to Russia's area called Kaliningrad, also saw a big rise. In January 2025, they reported 1,185 incidents. This was more than double the 556 cases from March 2024. It is important to know that these are just the reported cases. The real number is probably much higher. The Baltic Sea region is where most of these problems happen. Countries like Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania have seen tens of thousands of GPS jamming incidents in the last 2 years. These electronic attacks often come from Russian land. Kaliningrad is a Russian area between Poland and Lithuania. It is known to be a place where many of these electronic warfare operations begin. This area is heavily used for military activities, and it causes problems for planes flying nearby. Eurocontrol, the group that manages air traffic in Europe, also reports more problems. By March 2024, they had received 985 reports of GPS outages. This was almost as many as the 1,371 reports for the whole year of 2023. This shows that the problem is getting worse quickly. European authorities say that GPS interference is happening almost every day. Europe is now the most affected place in the world for these kinds of problems. The attacks happen most often near Russian borders and in areas that are important for Russia's plans. This pattern suggests that the problems are not just accidents. They are part of a planned activity. 4. Important people are targeted. It was a worrying day for a very important person. The President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, was flying to Bulgaria. Her plane was getting ready to land at Plovdiv Airport. Suddenly, the GPS system stopped working. This meant the pilots could not use the modern navigation tools that help guide planes with great accuracy. Instead, they had to rely on old paper maps and other basic equipment to find their way. The plane circled above Plovdiv Airport for about 1 hour, with the pilots working hard before they managed to land safely using these older, ground-based methods. This incident happened while Ms. von der Leyen was on a 4-day visit, touring different countries in the European Union. She was checking their defense plans and showing strong support for Ukraine. Bulgarian officials quickly stated their belief that Russia was probably behind the problem, calling it blatant interference. A spokesperson for the European Commission confirmed the event, expressing concern. When asked directly if Ms. von der Leyen's plane was the specific target, the spokesperson gave a pointed reply. The question is best asked to the Russians. Another high-profile flight faced a similar and troubling problem. In March 2024, A military plane carrying a British government official experienced GPS issues. This was the UK Defence Secretary at the time, Grant Shapps. His plane was flying near Kaliningrad when its navigation system was hit by GPS spoofing. This serious issue tricks the plane into thinking it is in a different location than its actual position, which can be very dangerous. The spoofing affected the plane for about 30 minutes. Mr. Shapps was returning from Poland, where he had been discussing important military support for Ukraine. While it was not clearly stated if his plane was a direct target, the timing and location of this event caused significant concern among security experts. These incidents raise a crucial question. Are very important people and their planes being targeted on purpose? Many in Europe strongly suspect that Russia is doing this as part of a wider effort. However, Russia has consistently denied these claims. A spokesperson for the Kremlin clearly stated that reports of Russian interference were incorrect. Despite Russia's denial, the European Commission has described GPS interference as an almost daily practice across the continent. They note that the problem is particularly severe along Europe's eastern borders, highlighting a serious and ongoing threat to air travel safety and security. 5. Normal flights are in danger. The problem with GPS signals is not just for planes carrying important government leaders. It also affects many normal flights that everyday people take. This makes travel harder and less safe for everyone flying over parts of Europe. One airline, Finnair, has seen many problems. Their planes fly between countries like Finland and Estonia. Sometimes, when a Finnair plane was flying to Estonia, pilots found that their GPS was not working. They could not navigate safely. Because of this, the pilots had to turn the plane around. They had to go back to where they started. This happened multiple times. To keep passengers safe, airlines like Finnair have to do new things. They have put in place special rules for flights in areas where GPS problems often happen. Pilots need to learn more about how to fly planes without GPS. This means they must use older methods to find their way. This training takes time and costs money. These problems also mean higher costs for airlines. When a plane has to turn back or use other navigation methods, it often uses more fuel. This is because the routes might be longer or less direct. Delays also happen, which can make it hard to keep flight schedules. All these things add extra money to airline operations. Air traffic controllers also face difficulties. Their job is to guide planes safely through the sky. When GPS signals are jammed, controllers find it harder to know exactly where each plane is. They must then create more space between planes to be safe. This can slow down all air traffic. It makes flying more complex and can cause delays for many travelers. This shows that normal flights are now facing a new and worrying threat in the skies. 6. How the jamming works. The problems with GPS are not simple accidents. The equipment used for these electronic attacks is very powerful and advanced. This is not something a normal person can buy or use easily. Experts say that only a country, not a single person or a small group, can be behind these kinds of incidents. The high power and precision needed point to state-level capabilities. The signals that block or fake GPS are very strong. They can reach planes flying high in the sky and far away, sometimes hundreds of kilometers. This shows that the jamming devices are not small or weak. They are large, complex machines that need a lot of electrical power. These devices can also aim their signals very well. This means they can target specific areas in the sky, causing trouble exactly where they want to, without affecting other places too much. This careful targeting needs advanced technology. Reports often point to Russia as the country behind these actions. Russia has special military equipment called electronic warfare systems. These systems are designed specifically to mess with electronic signals, like those from GPS satellites. What makes them even more effective is that many of these systems are mobile. This means they can be moved around easily by trucks or other vehicles. For example, Russia has deployed these mobile systems along its borders, including in places like Kaliningrad. Kaliningrad is a Russian territory located between Poland and Lithuania, right on the Baltic Sea. From there, these powerful systems can send strong signals across the Baltic Sea region. They can turn the jamming on and off and even move to different spots to avoid being found or to target new areas. This makes it very hard to trace them directly. These powerful electronic warfare systems can do more than just block signals. They can also perform spoofing. Spoofing is much harder to do than simply jamming. It means creating and sending fake GPS signals. A plane's navigation system might then think it is in one place, but it is actually somewhere else entirely. This needs very complex technology to create signals that look perfectly real to the plane's receivers. It can even affect other navigation systems like Europe's Galileo or Russia's own GLONASS. The ability to do both jamming and sophisticated spoofing clearly shows that these are serious state-level operations, requiring a country with advanced military technology to be responsible for these dangerous acts in Europe's skies. 7. A new kind of war. Chapter 7 talks about a new kind of war. This war is not fought with tanks or soldiers on a big battlefield. Instead, it uses different ways to cause problems without starting a big fight. People call this hybrid warfare. GPS jamming is a part of this new way of fighting. Russia is thought to be doing this for a few reasons. One reason is to show that it can cause trouble for Europe and disrupt important systems. It wants to test how well Europe can protect itself from these kinds of attacks. Also, these actions might make it harder for Europe to help Ukraine by creating extra costs and worries for airlines and governments. It puts pressure on European countries without using guns or bombs. The timing of these electronic attacks is often very important. They seem to happen when there are big political events or when important people are traveling. For example, a plane carrying European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen had problems with its GPS. This happened when she was visiting countries along Europe's eastern border. She was talking about defense plans and showing support for Ukraine. Another time, a British government official, Grant Shapps, faced similar GPS problems in the air. This was when he was coming back from Poland after discussing military help for Ukraine. These events show that the attacks might be planned to send a message during key political moments or discussions. It suggests the disruptions are not just random accidents. These kinds of actions are often called gray zone activities by security experts. This means they are not a clear act of war, but they are also not peaceful. They exist in a middle area, making it very hard for countries to know exactly how to respond. Russia can easily say it is not involved, or that the problems are just technical failures in the equipment. This makes it hard to prove who is really behind the attacks. Without clear proof, it is difficult for Europe to take strong official action against the source. The rules for these kinds of electronic attacks are not very clear in international law, which adds to the problem. This new kind of war avoids direct fighting, but still tries to make countries weak, cause confusion, and test their limits. It is a smart but worrying way for one country to challenge others without starting a full military conflict. It aims to achieve goals without clear responsibility. 8. What happens next? The problem of GPS jamming is a very serious threat to flying. It puts many flights, both private and commercial, in danger. Europe faces big challenges trying to stop these invisible attacks. It is hard to know exactly who is doing it and how to make them stop. This situation shows that the safety of air travel needs new and stronger solutions. One main way to make flying safer is to develop better navigation systems. Europe is already working on its own satellite system, called Galileo. This system is designed to be more resistant to jamming and spoofing than older systems. It will give planes more secure ways to find their location. Also, new technology is being developed to finding jamming signals more quickly and filter them out. These advanced systems will help planes keep flying safely even when GPS signals are attacked. Another important step is to provide more training for pilots. Many pilots today have always flown with GPS, so they must learn older navigation skills again. This includes using traditional radio beacons, reading paper maps, and understanding celestial navigation principles. Airlines are changing their training programs to ensure pilots are ready to fly without GPS. This extra preparation makes flights much safer when navigation problems happen, especially during critical moments like takeoffs and landings. These electronic attacks are a significant warning for Europe. They show that modern conflict is changing. It is not always about traditional weapons. Electronic warfare can disrupt important services and create dangers without open fighting. Europe needs to work together to protect its airspace and its citizens. This means putting money into new technologies, improving pilot training, and finding ways to make attackers responsible. It is crucial to have a unified response. The era of always available satellite navigation is ending. A new, more complex time for aviation security is here. What do you think is the most important thing Europe should do to stay safe from these electronic attacks in the future?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.